carving is hard. That's probably why no one really does it anymore. And it's also why when we look at statues and carvings from ancient cultures, we're so impressed, because it's the one type of artwork that even with modern technology, we really can't replicate or measure up to in modern times. But we can try. The first thing I think of when I think about carving are the marble statues of ancient Greece and Rome. Multiple craftsmen would work under the supervision of one artist, meticulously chipping away and sanding large blocks of marble for years at a time to create one of these statues. The statues of the Romans and Greeks are probably the most masterful examples of carvings that humans have created, but they're not the most mysterious. Take the heads of Easter Island, for example. These gigantic stone carvings were created on a small island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean called Rapa Nui, or Easter Island. They were carved without metal tools and moved and lifted around the island in ways that scientists still don't fully understand. But the most mysterious ancient stone carvings of all are found in southern Mexico. They are the colossal stone heads of the Olmec civilization. The Olmec civilization began in 1600 BC. That makes some of these stone carvings over 3,000 years old. The Olmec civilization was around during the same time as the Egyptians, and they're older than the Aztecs. There are several Olmec cities in southern Mexico, but La Venta is one of the biggest and oldest. The stone heads that are found here are gigantic, weighing in at 60,000 pounds and being about 7 foot tall. But what's really crazy about the colossal head carvings of the Olmecs is that they're found in the middle of a swamp with no natural rock around. Archaeologists have figured out that the Olmecs must have quarried these rocks from volcanic mountains over 100 miles away and somehow transported them through dense jungle, swamps, and rivers to the city of La Venta. How exactly the Olmecs did this is unknown. Some theories include that they used log rollers or boats, and some people even think that aliens must have helped them. We may never know how the Olmecs carved and moved these statues, but we do know is they were advanced and masterful artists, and their colossal stone heads will be the inspiration for today's project. But as beginners, we won't be starting with lava stone or even marble. We'll be starting with an apple and a butter knife, not a sharp knife. I repeat, use a butter knife. We will also be using a pencil. Using these three materials, we will create an Olmec-style face on this apple using some basic carving methods. The first thing we're going to do is create some cuts in the apple that show the shape of the helmet. If you look closely at the Olmec heads, they have this kind of squarish shaped helmet around their head. So we're going to start by making a line at the top of the helmet and then come down about halfway down the apple, make a right angle, and then one more cut all the way down to the bottom of the apple. These cuts are very shallow, and I'm just cutting through the skin of the apple, not trying to make a deep cut into the meat. Then peel the skin off where the face is going to be. To do this, we're going to use the paring method, where you wrap your fingers around the back of the butter knife and use your thumb to push the blade up and under the skin and just take off that skin. Try to not make a very deep cut here. Just peel off the skin in nice little ribbons. To carve the face, we'll start with the nose. Make a horizontal cut in the middle of the apple, and then 2 diagonal cuts to make a wide triangle in the middle of the face. You can make some little diagonals at the top for eyebrows too. Carving is all about figuring out what parts of the subject dip in, what parts are lower, and then cutting those areas out. On the face, the eye sockets actually dip in, and the nose is a mountain. On a soft material like an apple, the best way to cut out these valleys is to make slits on the sides of the shape and then bring the knife in underneath, kind of from the side, and cut out the bottom of that chunk. You can also cut out little chunks by angling your knife in when you make the cut on either side of the piece you want to cut out, kind of making a little V-notch and then just popping that little triangular piece right out. If you try to just cut a line into the apple, it's not really going to show up. You're going to actually have to take out a little sliver or a chunk for that carve to be visible. Now that I've got all the main features carved, I'm going to get a little more detailed on the nose. I'm going to carve a little bit of a curve into the bridge and round the nostrils to give it more of that Olmec style nose. Notice how as I carve the line out between the lips, I'm going to make 2 cuts, not 1. And the cuts angle in towards each other, creating that little sliver of apple that I can just pop out. A pencil could be used to carve nostril holes and eyes, but push in slowly and use kind of a twisting, drilling motion, and be careful not to crack part of your nose or other facial features. For a final touch, I'll cut a few decorative lines into the helmet, and this carving's done. And that's how you carve an apple. But just in case your little sister fed the last apple at your house to the pony that she got for Christmas, I would like to point out this project can also be done with a potato. For the potato, you'll follow the same steps as the apple, cutting out the lines for the sides of the helmet, and using the paring method to peel off the skin. Remember to always use a butter knife when you do this, still no need to use a sharp knife. The meat of the potato is going to be a little bit firmer than the meat of the apple. And I actually liked carving the potato. If you have both an apple and a potato at home, you might use the potato. It will create a longer face that looks a little bit more like the heads on Easter Island. I will always start a carving by taking out the main chunks first. For a face, that's going to be the chunks where the eyes are, the chunk below the nose between the lip and the nose, and then the chunk below the lip. Those are the 3 big valleys of the face. And once you cut out those valleys, you've created the mountains of the face, the eyebrows, the nose, the lips, and the chin. Then you can begin carving the more detailed eyes. I like to have my upper eyelids curved and the bottom eyelids more straight or completely straight. For the Olmec heads, they did have a pretty distinctive frown, so I'm going to create a frown when I cut out the lip lines. Remember to use those angled V-notch cuts. That's the key to getting good lines for the eyes and in between the lips. Then I'll shape up the nose a little bit, carve in the nostrils, and the pupils. I did add pupils to these carvings, even though the Olmecs did not have pupils. I felt like it brought these carvings to life a little bit more. I also gave him some angry wrinkles on his forehead, some details on the helmet, and then as a final touch, a butt chin. Now you might be thinking, wow, I love these carvings and I want to make my own, but I can't because my grandma threw our last potato out the window at a squirrel who was eating the bird seed. Well, just in case you're in that boat, you can also carve an avocado, one of the most delicious fruits known to man. You could really do this project with any fruit or vegetable that has a firm, consistent inside. For example, a pear could work, possibly a banana, but the shape might be difficult. You would not be able to do it with a tomato because it'd be too soft, and you couldn't do it with an orange because the inside is inconsistent and all different. Just like on the other carvings, I'm going to carve out the big valleys first, the eye sockets, above and below the lips, and then I'm going to get into the details and sculpt up that nose. I did find the avocado a bit more difficult to work with because it was softer than the apple and the potato. I cut a few detailed wrinkles into the face and cheeks of the avocado, and I love the way this one looks because of the different colors of the avocado flesh with the bright green on the outside, and as you cut in, it gets more yellow. Time to get cleaned up and admire these carvings. Now I did 3 carvings to show examples of the different fruits and vegetables that you could use, and of course you can do as many carvings as you want, but if you want to just do 1 carving for this project, that will be perfectly fine. Just choose the fruit or vegetable that works best for you. Now if we're going to try to be like the Olmecs, once you're done with your carving, you will need to transport it hundreds of miles through dense jungle. Or you could just take it to the kitchen and have a snack. The potato could make a delicious potato soup. And the avocado carving can be used to make a delicious guacamole taco. Now it's time for you to go raid the pantry and get carving.
Can't wait to see how they turn out.